Hi guys, welcome to our podcast.
3 P's in a podcast.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Ashley, and here we go.
This is our first.
Yes.
Hi. This is our first podcast, guys.
Yes.
This is the 3 P's in a podcast.
You guys want to start with like names?
Yeah, we can just start with a little introduction of everyone. Chelsea.
I'm Chelsea. I'm related to both of them, and I'm kind of the reason we're all three doing this together. I'm kind of the glue.
The glue that holds us together.
I am.
Yes, this is true. You want to talk about your family?
Yeah, so I am married to Brandon, and we'll be married for 9 years this August. I currently go to school for social work. I'm almost done with that degree. I have 2 beautiful children. I have a 11-year-old daughter, Palin, and I have a 13-year-old bonus son, Benjamin. And I substitute teach and do things like this on the side.
A lot of businesses.
A lot of
Small
businesses.
Yes.
I'm Jessica. I have 2 little kids, Ben and Ellie. Ben is 8 and Ellie's 6. And I work in a preschool, so summer's coming up and I'll have a bunch more free time. And then I also sell books and do side businesses too. And I have a boyfriend, Freddie, who helps us with a lot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he helps us so much.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him and his business a lot because his business is kind of like a sister to all of ours.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm Ashley. I am engaged to Chelsea's brother, and we have a daughter named Nova who's 2 years old, who is wild, absolutely
Wild.
crazy.
Love her so much.
Yeah.
Yes, love her so much, but
She's wild like her dad.
wild.
Yeah. She's 2.
Her
Yes.
dad was just like that.
Yes.
This is what happens.
What was it? What is it? Menace?
Dennis the Menace.
Dennis the Menace.
We always called Zach that growing up, that he was the Dennis the Menace kid, and Nova is nothing short of the same.
She's trying so hard, but
she can do it all. She just like Dennis the Menace, they just mean so well, but they are just, what's this? And what can I do? And I can do it all by myself. And but then they're like, don't do that. Like, I'm sorry. And like big hugs and I love you. So you're like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
On our podcast, we want to talk about things like true crime, current events. We are all 3 Swifties. Books. Jess and I sell books. Ashley's a big reader. She helps us with our books a lot.
Yes.
Ashley and I make things such as t-shirts and cups, different custom items, and different just cool little things like that. And
we will definitely put all of our other platform information in the info down below. So if you're listening on Spotify or anything, I would go to YouTube.
And we're going to wind up having something back here with different handles and things too.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're on Whatnot, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, hopefully
Instagram.
Spotify, Instagram. And we have so many accounts that we love to support. So we'll link all of those below.
So our first case that we're going to dive into is the Gone Girl case. It happened in 2015. The 2 main characters are Denise and Aaron. I guess main characters is the... I know, it feels weird. Like, okay. So Aaron and Denise were just boyfriend and girlfriend. Aaron had, I think it was like half a year ago, was engaged to Andrea. And that was his ex-fiance. He ended up finding out she was cheating and they broke up. The other crazy part about like those 3 is Andre, Denise, and Aaron all worked together in the same rehab at the hospital.
Yeah. I saw that they had just recently started dating and like their parents hadn't even met the other person.
I think
Andrea
Denise's parents had never met him.
Yes.
And his parents
Aaron's
had met
parents had
Denise
met her.
one time.
And they seemed to like her, but it was fresh.
And this happened on March 23rd, 2015.
Yes. And so 3:30 a.m., Aaron is woken up to like blinding lights in his face. He said he saw 3 laser points at him also, and it said, Aaron, lay face down. So they addressed him by name, which was very crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
so new.
Yes. Like, that's not something, when someone breaks in, they're not addressing you by name.
No.
And so the guy ended up instructing Denise to tie his hands behind his back, and then they put the goggles over his face that he said was like blacked out, and they put some headphones over his ears that started like giving him instructions. We're going to take your blood pressure.
Vitals.
Yes, his vitals. They gave him a sedative, which was NyQuil and diazepam.
Yes.
And they told him, we are giving you NyQuil and diazepam, which is very, like, also weird to do.
Yeah, it was all very weird. And, like, Aaron said that he was cold, and he went and got him a blanket.
Yes, and when they got him the blanket, they said, I forgot how cold it was in here because we're all wearing wetsuits.
Yes.
Yeah, they were all in wetsuits. That is so weird.
And so when they brought him, they separated Denise and Aaron, and they brought Aaron out to the couch, and they said, we have a problem. This was intended for Andre.
Right.
Yes.
Andrea. Yeah.
Yes,
so
Andrea.
They were actually it's like they knew Aaron and Andrea, and they had thought that they were still together at that point.
Yes. So it's like they obviously knew who this was, but they obviously didn't know who this was.
Yes.
Exactly.
They probably had been planning it, but not good enough.
Yes. And they stated, like, we're still going to take her because we know you can pay the money.
Exactly.
And so he ends up falling asleep because of the sedative, and he wakes up, and he's taped in, like, his living room, and he sees the camera, and he was instructed if he leaves that or he contacts the police, then did they say there was anything that would happen? There would be
just be consequences.
I was gonna say, I don't know if there was anything
she was the one that more so he threatens later on.
Yes.
But to him, there's just like, do not do this.
Could you imagine waking up in a box of tape?
Crazy.
And cameras on you, instructed not to call 911. Your girlfriend's been taken. It's what is this, 11:30 when he woke up?
I think so.
So like 6 hours after she was taken.
Yeah. And so he receives the first text, and it's basically stating to give them $7,500 in advance and transfer on his bank, and then $7,500 in cash. So it's $15,000 altogether. And he calls his bank, and the bank will only give him $3,500. And he texts the person back, and he hears nothing. And it's just silent. And so he ends up making the decision to contact the police because he believes the police will help him.
Yeah.
This is such a crazy, he saw it. He's experiencing it. That they're going to believe him.
They'll believe me.
Exactly. And so they take him in, and they take swabs of his mouth. They do blood tests on him. They take all of his clothes, and Detective Mustard comes into the room. And the first thing he says to you is, you're not being questioned or interrogated. We're treating you like a victim. Yes, you are a victim in this, and we're treating you like that. So he starts telling them what's happened, which obviously is a crazy story.
It's a crazy story. It's like I could see suspicions.
Absolutely. You tell people people broke in my house. They were wearing wetsuits. They took my blood pressure.
Yes.
He got me a blanket. You know what I mean? That sounds wild.
Especially with the fact that that boyfriends or spouses are the first person you looked at. They're the prime suspect.
And I get it. Statistically speaking, I get that.
And so obviously they hear this, and they end up deciding that they don't really believe his story. And their questioning kind of started changing. What was the conversation last night? Were you guys doing drugs? Were you doing alcohol? And then it kind of turns, what did you do to her?
Yeah, the accusations hit quick.
Yes, as soon as they hear that story, it's done. They don't believe him.
You did it. I know you did it.
Yes.
So tell me what happened.
What's crazy about it too is he agrees to do a lie detector test.
Yes.
Actually asks for it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So they go do this lie detector test, and the detective tells him he fails it.
Yes.
Told him wasn't even close. Yep. You failed it so bad.
Yes. You're just ruining your life and your family's life. You did this in cold blood, and this is the FBI at the point. He did the lie detector with the FBI, so this is already spiraled into FBI territory, and he's not being believed by the FBI.
Yeah,
like you've said, they just tunnel vision.
They did.
This is one of those cases that police officers will oftentimes, pick who their person is. And there's no convincing them otherwise.
Else.
I could name a million cases where they do that with, and this is one of them. And this one is so bad, you'll keep seeing later on too, because they do it with her too when she comes into
Yes.
the mix, and that is so sad to me.
So the FBI agent is drilling him and saying you did this and stating all that, and it's 18 hours into her being missing, and he finally requests a lawyer. Because if you aren't going to believe me, I need to protect myself. You obviously believe I did this.
Right.
He gets Dan Rosso as his defense attorney, and that guy basically comes in and states, if you're not going to charge him, he's coming with me. He's answered your questions. He's given you everything that you've asked for. Like, you have nothing to hold him, essentially. At 12:24 p.m., she's been missing for 31 hours at this point, and a reporter receives an email with an audio clip. And this audio clip, it's, I'm Denise Huskins, I'm held captive, and she's very calm in this. And it kind of sounds odd to anyone that doesn't understand what's going on. She states her name, personal information, like what her first concert was. She also states a current event, that there was, I think, a helicopter or plane crash or something in the Alps.
She's been missing.
Yes. And regarding...
And friends and family knew it was her immediately.
Yes.
Said this was her voice. There's no doubt in my mind. She's obviously alive, and she's alive right now.
Yes.
And I think this is when the Gone Girl type of thought in their head started. Because now they see she's alive, and they're like, did she do all this? Did she try to frame him?
Yes.
Because I'm sure it's coming, but she had caught Aaron messaging Andrea before.
Yes.
Like, it was definitely some...
Yeah, so Andrea and Aaron's breakup doesn't sound like it was all that long ago.
No.
It sounds like him and Denise, like, just kind of met each other and fell in love, but he was still healing from the Andrea stuff. And, like, there was still messages, like, him basically just saying, I care about you, I still love you, things like that, that I think upset Denise. And I think that's another reason why the police single in on Aaron, thinking that he has done this. Because, and also, to top it off, like we had just briefly mentioned, he had only met Denise's parents, never met Denise's parents.
Yeah.
So they're not defending him.
No.
They're not going to say this is a great guy, he would never do that. They have no idea.
They hear that their daughter goes missing in the middle of the night.
That's got to be the first thing they think of.
He didn't report it for 6+ hours. I would be sketched out if this was my daughter.
I'd be sketched out if this is my daughter too.
Absolutely.
And his story too sounds wild.
Yep. So after this audio clip comes about and the police hear it and stuff, they pull Denise's parents into the room and they start asking her questions about her character. How many boyfriends did she have? Did they last long? And it's kind of like they're trying to dig the dirt up on her. And they end up, Detective Mustard ends up asking, is there anything that you think could help us or we need to know? And her mom brought up that she was younger, she was molested. And he stated, sickening. Women that have been sexually assaulted often pretend it happens again to relive the thrill of it.
The thrill of it.
What?
When I heard this and read this, I could not believe that word comes out of someone's mouth.
No. The detective in this case disgusts me on multiple levels. The way that
misogyny?
Yes, the way that he victim blames throughout this entire case from Aaron and then mainly Denise is sickening.
And
no, I've never met a woman that has been anything. And they make something else up for a thrill.
Who wants to relive
it's not thrilling.
Thrill of it. It's not thrilling.
No.
It's not ever something that people want to relive.
It's traumatic. Let's put the right name on it. And so then after this, the FBI pulls Aaron into the room, and I believe his attorneys are there and everything, and they're talking to him, and they basically start asking him, do you think Denise did this to get back at you? And that is then in Huntington Beach at 9:09 a.m., 400 miles away from where she was abducted. Denise is dropped off around the area of her childhood home where her parents live. And I believe this is really when the Gone Girl stuff started hitting home. It was starting to come about, but as soon as she was dropped off, unharmed, it was Gone Girl. Media took full coverage of it. There was a lieutenant that did a press conference that basically just said, she's not talking to us, her family's not talking to us, and her and Aaron have wasted countless resources.
They are fully blaming her from the minute that she's found. They're not, it's like they're so convinced of the story in their head that they never even consider the fact that these people could be telling the truth.
No, Aaron was guilty from the moment he came in under their eyes, so they were not looking anywhere else.
And then when he was no longer guilty, they had to blame her.
It was them together.
Yeah.
They did this because Aaron was still guilty in their eyes.
Yep.
So, okay, great, you guys did it together. There was no ever going to look into this.
Yes. And Gone Girl was released 1 year prior to this, the movie, so it was kind of fresh. And obviously, you were the one that's read Gone Girl.
I guess we could kind of talk about Gone Girl now. So in this book, I read it years ago and I watched the movie years ago. But the wife catches her husband. I think she catches him like doing things behind her back, or he's just not happy in their marriage, and so she frames him for her murder. She sets up their entire house to look like a struggle took place. Looks like he tried to cover it up, and then she disappears just to get back at him, like just to do this to him. And so that's where people are trying to compare this to the Gone Girl case.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
they're trying to say that either they set this up together or she set this up to get back at him. And that was just not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was different about this case, too, because if you Google Gone Girl true crime, you're going to get a couple different stories. You're going to see a couple different things where the media has called it the Gone Girl case. What is different about this one is the police call this the Gone Girl case immediately, even though it's not.
That was their first thoughts.
That was their first thoughts, and that is what they hung to.
Yes. So kind of going into what Denise experienced that night, she was put into a car that was Aaron's car from their house, and then he transferred her into another car. And she said that she was driving for a while, that she was trying to count the turns, but obviously she had no idea where she was going and all that. And it's really crazy because this guy just gives way more information than he needs to. He says this was meant for Andre. He explains that they're part of the black market that kidnaps people, and that he's military, and he's just giving very personal information.
Right.
So, like, it's wild.
And at this point, he's not treating her horribly. He's going
Which
about
is so
things
hard to say.
Yeah, it is hard to say because of what he does to her. But he is, I don't even want to say gentle because of what he does to her. But other than those moments, he's treating her like a human being.
Yes.
He's trying to treat this like a relationship.
Yes.
It's like he's like conditioned her to be his girlfriend.
Yes. Yeah. And so he tells her the plan is to release her in 48 hours. Like I said, he tells her this personal information during like these bathroom breaks, that he used to be in the military, that he has PTSD, and just very personal stuff like that. And then later in that night, he ends up coming in and basically says, we need collateral so you won't go to the police. And ends up basically raping her. And says
the collateral is to record it.
Yes.
So we have it. So if you go to police, I'm airing this.
Yes, exactly. And we'll put it on the internet. And after that, he ends up telling her, you can take your goggles off when I'm not in the room. Kind of like condition her, like, here's your reward for like doing this.
And watching her, so we got a lot of our information from the Netflix documentary called American Nightmare, right?
Yes.
About this. And which had interviews from both of them. It was really laid out really great. And watching her talk about this is heartbreaking. You can see her like chin quivering. It is so heartbreaking. You can tell how hard it is to relive this.
I think one of the things that she really touches upon, though, that Justin and I were talking about this right before you got here, is obviously her will to survive. You know what I mean? We think our instincts are to fight, to kick, to scream. But I think that's something that actually kept her alive.
Yes.
Is that she decided, he's not being violent right now. So as much as I hate to, I'm not going to fight this. I'm just going to do this. And I think that's going to give me away. And I think he's going to let me go. And obviously her intuition was right, because that is what happened.
Yeah.
And
it could have just ended up worse. I mean,
she would have fought him, kicked him. Like, what would his violence came out to be?
Yes.
And it's like never judging anyone, obviously. Fight back. Like,
obviously, because
I wish I could be that person, but I could also see myself being the person.
I'm just saying, like, her case, her situation, her moment, she obviously was right. Yeah. She obviously had intuition about this situation. Is right. Obviously, any woman who's fought back and
You go, girl.
Yeah.
She very much, she also talks about like that first instance, like she detaches. She
Yes.
talks about the like almost like seeing yourself above your own body.
Mm-hmm.
And she just does obviously because she's went through it, she does a very good job about like explaining the trauma that kind of went with it.
Absolutely.
So 28 hours into the kidnapping, they lose contact with Aaron. And this is right around the time that the kidnapper comes in and he tells Denise that my coworkers are coming and that you need to be quiet. They're not going to be as nice as me. She hears a car pull into the driveway. She hears him.
Scary.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she hears multiple people talking outside, like out in the living room. And then he comes back in and says that's when they need to record the proof of life and that she needs to do all of this. And she talks about how she was so heavily on sedatives and that's why she sounds so calm. Like she's like, I could barely keep my like eyes open. That's so obviously like if you're sedated like that, you're not going to be talking with enthusiasm or fear in your voice. You're just going to be monotone.
No, I know what it's like to just like be at the hospital and be just under doctor's orders sedated.
Yes.
And I know, like, you know,
if you were told to like, say a script, you might sound monotone.
Exactly.
And...
all kinds of things. You know, I mean, forget certain details.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many things. Another thing that I think we have kind of forgotten to talk about is how much he refers to they, us.
Yes.
He is constantly in his emails to Aaron and talking to Denise, like, we will bring you back.
I think that's him not taking accountability and making it seem like it is a like company or a group of people who are organized.
He tells Denise that they are part of a black market ransom company.
Yes.
So like he is trying very hard to make it seem like it's a big
bigger
group and a big organization type of thing.
But the only thing, so they end up at the end of it stating that like they say it's solely him. But how does he fake the multiple cars and the multiple voices? That's the only part of this that makes me really say, like is there more people actually involved in this? And he was just like doing his own thing with whatever, but he was still part of this bigger organization.
Or like I think maybe someone in his family pulled up and that was an opportunity for him to tell like, oh, they're here, and he went out, but really it's just his mom and they were having some sort of talk on the porch.
Now with the original kidnapping, was there more than one person in wetsuits? Did they talk about there being multiple?
So the only thing they
yes, we and stuff like that.
But they didn't know, like Denise and Aaron never said that there was two people or anything.
They say that they saw the 3 laser reporters and that there was the they and they. And I think there was even talk of like him maybe seeing like multiple figures, but they also state that they found this doll that was dressed in all black. So I could see him setting that up to like represent another body.
He really went and like, planned this out.
Yes.
It's just like things like that are so planned and organized, but there are some things that are so unorganized about this crime and about this. You know, I love Criminal Minds, so I know I will do a lot of Criminal Minds references. But this unsub, you know, like he is an organized crime, but also unorganized. There are just things that don't make sense. Like, why did you do that?
Yep. Yeah. So after they record the proof of life, he also states they need to redo the tape and it has to look consensual this time. Yes. And so he has 2 glasses of wine that he brings in, again, kind of touching into like he's acting like this is a date, like they're dating. And like she says, she chugs both of them, and he makes a joke when he comes in, like, you're starting without me. And she's like, of course I'm starting without you. Like,
I don't want to be around you.
Yes. And he says like he can make it look consensual by just taping her eyes closed so her eyes look like they're just closed or whatever.
Because at this point, she's still not allowed to look at him.
Yes.
She's allowed to take the goggles off to, like, when she's in the room by herself or when she's going to the bathroom and things like that. But as soon as he enters, she's supposed to be wearing the goggles and things again.
Yep. And then he shows her this clip of her dad, like, talking on the news of how much he misses her and hopes she's okay. And then says, all right, I'm taking you back home. But there's too much media and cops at where the abduction site was. I have to take you to Huntington Beach. She basically said, like, he ends up telling her, like, I know the police are going to have to question you because Aaron brought the police into this. You can tell them what happened besides the assaults. evidence. That's the only thing you're not allowed to talk about. And if
And
you
his
do,
military background.
yes, and his military background. And if you do, like, we will come and find you, or your family and your family. And so when she does get back, she ends up telling the police everything except the sexual assault. So the Huntington Beach police, they even ask her, like, are you sure nothing happened? And she's like, nope, and doesn't tell them anything. And then she gets a proffer agreement from the Vallejo police, which is basically stating that she made this up.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember in that part, she's like, why are they looking at me? Like, I have something to cover. Like, I did something wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, she said the last thing she was worried about was making sure the story was believable.
Mm-hmm.
And
when it's your legitimate story, it's like you don't even think about that.
Yeah.
Right.
And so she ends up getting like a defense attorney also, and they say, like, we need to go down to Vallejo police. And she ends up telling him that she was sexually assaulted. And he said, like, then we need to get you a rape kit. We need to get this evidence. And the defense attorney tells, like, the police, hey, like, she was raped, we need this kit. And they're like, we want to interview her first before we go and do this kit. We need to have this interview, which is, again, crazy to me,
because
this is a victim.
Every second, everyone knows that a rape kit is more evidence is built from it, the quicker you get it. Yes. The faster you can get in there and get it done, the more evidence that can potentially be enough. And a rape kit is invasive. It's traumatic. It's invasive.
It is traumatic in itself.
So for you to go and get a rape kit done and potentially not have any evidence in it is horrifying.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So to keep making her wait longer and longer, that is so sad.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so she says, like, she gives them every single detail that she absolutely can in this interview, and they still, towards the end of it, treat her like she's lying, like she's making this whole thing up. They go ahead and do the rape kit on her, and the FBI now pulls her aside and says there's inconsistency, and says basically that she's a gone girl, that she's doing this for, like, that gone girl reason, and that she's looking at prison time for lying to the police officers. And they just do not believe her at all.
And still don't believe Aaron.
No.
He is still being treated just as badly as she is.
Yes.
And her face is plastered all over the media as
Everywhere.
The gone girl.
Yes.
Hoax. Gone girl.
Yep.
Hoax.
Could you imagine this really happening to not only her, but Aaron also? And you're seeing, it's like anytime that you're really legitimately telling the truth about something and people are like, no, you're lying. That is like the worst feeling. Could you imagine this plastered all over social media?
And what I can't believe too is, like, something she talked about that just broke my heart is we touched on that she was molested as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
This was never reported, never anything. You know what I mean? She was just a kid, and
yes.
You know what I mean? So she just never really told. Then she was assaulted
at 19.
At 19, at, like, it sounded like some sort of kind of college frat party. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong on that. But that's kind of what it sounded like and reminded me of. And stuff like that. There, she goes to the police department, tries to report this.
At the outside, and the police officer...
Yeah, talked her out of it. Said, no one's going to believe you.
It's your word against his.
No, don't even worry about it. And then again, now it's even the worst that could have happened. She is kidnapped, sexually assaulted multiple times.
Yeah.
And not believed.
Still not believed.
And she has experienced this victim blaming count, like, over and over again.
All over the media.
So
I can't even imagine what social media looked like for her at that time.
Yep.
The media, people are outside of her home calling her a liar, just following her around.
And back in, like, 2015, 2016, it was different than it is now. Like, I feel like it has gotten a little better. It was, I mean,
who knows?
That was the start of all of that, like the Me Too movement and all of that was around that time.
That's true.
Yep. So this is also a crazy thing of, like, I don't understand why he does it. The kidnapper then emails this reporter that he sent the proof of life to, and basically starts confessing. I'm the person that kidnapped her. She's telling the truth.
Which
all
is
of this.
Shocking.
Yes.
It's like
you need to believe her.
Yes.
And this reporter sends it to the police and hears nothing. The police don't even acknowledge it. Mm-hmm. And this kidnapper starts just spamming him with emails, sends him evidence of the guns, different things that were, like, part of the kidnapping, and then basically says, if I don't hear an apology from the police department, I'm going to do it again.
Yep.
And the police do nothing. Don't look into it. Don't believe it. Just
Which is so mind-boggling to me because the police and detectives know that a lot of times when someone has committed this crime, they will insert themselves back in because they're not getting the publicity that they want. They're not getting the attention that they need for this gratification. You know what I mean?
And that's exactly what he was doing.
This is exactly what I was doing. Why are we still not looking into this?
It's like, even if as a police officer or a detective, you are convinced of, what you're convinced of. With all these other open roads, why are you not following these leads and at least checking into it? Yeah. If these people are saying, I'm telling you the truth, why are you not checking into it? Why are you so head set on charging them with crimes instead of just for a minute believing their story and checking into it?
Yeah. And so this is still going on. The police don't believe them. They're, I think, even pursuing charges of them, like, basically creating a hoax. And Matthew Mueller is caught for an attempted break-in and rape. And it's because he breaks into this house and he ends up running out and he leaves his phone. And so they end up connecting him, call his mom. His mom's like, oh yeah, he's at our vacation home. And they go down there and they arrest him. And it's this female detective, which I wish I would have wrote her name down.
Oh yes, I really liked her.
Her name down. Yeah, it's her first year.
Yes, her
as a detective against these men who have been detectives for years.
Yes, and she basically states that, like, she's looking at everything and she finds these goggles that have a blonde hair, and that bothered her because that means these had to come from someone. And so she starts doing all of these, like, research and stuff, and
finds everything.
I know she found
finds the duct tape.
Yes.
She finds the goggles, the duct tape. What else was there?
And I know she talked to a brunette.
The zip ties.
Yeah. She talked to a brunette woman who had a very similar story.
Yes. First offense is in 2009. He breaks into this home. He ties her up. But she starts talking about how she was sexually assaulted in the past. And he says, I don't want to re-traumatize you. And he has her drink NyQuil also. But he says, I don't want to re-traumatize you, and leaves, tells her you should get a dog. And this would have never happened if you got a dog. So he's just... It's so weird, so his character. He's like
a very strange character.
Yes.
He kind of reminds me of one of those just bad guys that are crying for help too.
Yes.
Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it okay. I hope no one feels like I am agreeing with him.
He deserves to be in prison.
He deserves to be in prison for the rest of his life.
But it's like he wanted to get caught.
But he wanted to get caught. Again, I don't care. But just talking about his character and who he was.
Yep. So then, so that case was in Palo Alto, and Mountain View, same year, 2009. He tries to attack another woman. He ties her up with zip ties, has her drink NyQuil, puts on the blackout goggles, which is new for this particular case, and says he's going to rape her. But then she starts begging and telling him, please don't, pleading, doing everything she can. And he says, I just can't do this. And
leaves.
It's like, I'm sure Denise obviously would have never thought that would have worked.
No.
So it's like, I wonder if she was in that moment and was like, I've been through this before, please don't do this to me, if he would have done that again.
Yeah.
But, she would have never known.
Never
I would have never thought that would work
I would never thought that either.
Which is also crazy for this case, too, that happened in Mountain View, of when she first, like, is telling the police what happened. They're like, was it a dream? And she's like, I have, like, marks on my wrist.
How are you trying to tell me that this is a dream, that I'm delusional?
Just more victim blaming.
It is so sad.
And they end up pulling her boyfriend aside and ask, like, is she a attention seeker?
Yes,
and
you were like, attention seeker?
Yeah, like, it just, all of these women are just not believed. And
you know what this reminds me of? Do you guys remember that TV, or it's a series on Netflix, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it's called. But it just keeps brought back like memories of watching this series. But it was based on a true story about the same thing. A girl was raped in the middle of the night, and nobody believed her.
I don't know what you're talking
about. Oh my gosh, I need to find that now.
The only thing I keep thinking about is the bear versus the man in the woods. Like, obviously
the bear,
because they would believe me if I was attacked by a bear. Like.
Yes.
The evidence points they don't believe you if you're attacked by a man.
Because there is a TV series on Netflix that's based on a true story, and it's the same thing. This girl is that someone breaks into her house, sexually assaults her, but leaves.
Oh, gotcha.
But they did take a picture, and at the end, they find this person, and they find all these pictures of all these women that was not believed, and that's happened too.
So
and she was one of them. And I think they did charge her with lying and using. If I'm correct, they called her a liar, and it was in the media of a liar, and all those kind of things.
That's crazy.
Yep.
So then 2014, that's on the Mare Island Creeper, which is very close to Vallejo. There's a guy that's peeping into windows and taking photos. The police don't follow it up. There's even some people that follow this guy home, and it's Matthew. Ex-military, all that. The police don't look into it. Just completely leave it alone. And then in 2015 is when they end up having the Gone Girl case. Again, this woman detective, her first year, who's Dublin police, she connects all of this. She realizes all of these cases are aligning, and she sees this Gone Girl case. Here's the story. Here's the goggles. She's got blonde hair. This is her woman. And so she starts calling the police department repeatedly, and they're not answering. And she finally gets a hold of them, and they're like, oh, this is an FBI case now. Doesn't help her. Okay, well, who do I need to call in the FBI? And she calls and calls and calls and calls. And she finally gets a hold of the FBI, and they say that it was a hoax. They say they've never said it was a hoax. And they just send us the info, and we'll review it. And so this case now, it's getting solved. They realize this Matthew Miller is who is connected, and Denise and Aaron are looking at the report. And they're realizing the lie detector results were inconclusive, but the FBI stated he failed. He failed miserably.
Which they can lie to you about. They can lie about anything in interrogations, which I'm not saying that I always disagree with the fact that they can lie, because when it's to catch a killer or someone in the circumstance, it could help, but
this was just not the case.
Yes, when it was inconclusive, you need to take that into consideration when you're picking who you want to blame.
And it was not taken. So it's not fair that police, if you failed a lie detector test, then they go hard on you. But if you don't fail it, they still go hard on you. It needs to be looked at I don't know.
I think
they're inconclusive for a reason.
Yes.
They're not admissible in court for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And police need to look at it like that too.
Yeah. I think very much so. It's the idea of, okay, you need to lie to them to try and get any evidence you can, but still be looking for the person.
Yes.
Still be following just in case.
Follow the other leads that you're getting.
Yes.
That.
Don't zero in on just this is what's right.
That is the problem, is when you're tunneled in, and
especially when you have zero forensic evidence here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You don't have a body. You don't have any blood around this apartment.
Well, I was going to say, they did
say there was blood on the stairs.
There was blood drops on the stairs, but that could be, she could have got a bloody nose at one point and walked down the stairs.
I mean, just not actually anything.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You really have very little here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So go find your forensic evidence. Go, you know what I mean? Looking into these. Make sure, you know what I mean? Now, granted, he's got a giant blood stain all over this bed, you know, or we found her body and his skin is all under her nails.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got these things, all right, you might be zeroing in on your guy, but you got nothing.
Yeah.
You got nothing.
Another thing that happened is the rape kit, they stated there was no evidence of non-consensual sex.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Exactly. How can you tell?
I know sometimes you might be able to tell if it was a violent rape, but if it is a calmer, rapes like that happen.
Yes, there's people that, like she said, you disassociate from your body.
And I think that happens. You know what I mean? That you're just kind of, you know what I mean? I almost said consensual. Oh my God, not consensual. Just not fighting it because you don't want to be knocked out. You don't want to be tortured. You don't.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That this was a survivor's mode too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it should be just as justified.
I think if there is no sign of a violent rape on someone, don't word it that there's no sign of a rape, because your sign of a rape is that victim is telling you that this happened. That should be enough for you to believe that a rape happened. But you can say, there's no signs of trauma. We're not seeing any DNA. You can say those things, but don't say no sign of a rape here.
One of the absolutely craziest things, and it just proves that they thought he did something to her. They did not believe his story at all. He said, the kidnapper will be contacting me on my phone, and they put his phone into airplane mode. 2 calls came in from Matthew while Aaron was in the police station that would have gave them the location. And Denise even states that, like, they couldn't have saved me from the first rape, but if they would have found my location, they could have saved me from the
They
second.
could have,
They
if
could've
they
saved
would
her.
have opened up their eyes, they could have protected her from that
Yes.
second rape.
I mean, how can you be told, like, hey, I'm in contact with this person that has kidnapped my girlfriend, and they're like, airplane mode, put that to the side, we don't need it right now. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
If anything, you believe that he's doing this, use his phone to look for his location. Where was he doing during this? They just
Did he
completely
leave from those
Yeah.
6 hours before he called the police at
Yeah.
all? Like,
there's
Anything.
there's
just
so much.
Yeah, they just basically are like, he did it, and I'm not going to do the work to find out how.
And
Like,
another thing,
Yeah,
if
they
you're
weren't even looking for her.
No.
Yeah. If you're going to fully believe that he did this, you can tell your police detective buddies this. You can be on that trail, but why are you going to the public saying that these people are lying? Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand.
It's a Gone Girl case, a hoax.
Yeah.
It's even crazy. So the lieutenant was the person that was mainly doing all the press conferences, but the chief ends up having it to where it comes out that he was during that second press conference when she shows up to burn that bitch, and that was when he like just dragged her in the media, and it was essentially to make the media tear her apart and not believe her.
I told Jess this earlier. I think the smartest thing that they did was she got back and she realized, like, whoa, why are you accusing me of this? And she called an attorney.
Mhm.
She flew out to that attorney, and then they stayed hidden
Yes.
for those next while. Like,
Yep.
that was the smartest thing they could have ever done.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad they're just so lucky of 2 things. They did that, and B, that this guy kind of wanted to be caught.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is.
That is so nerve-wracking to think about what would have happened if those things didn't happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he ended up getting arrested for 40 years for the burglary, the robbery, and kidnapping and the rape. He was only charged with the case that originally got him arrested and Denise cases. So the Palo Alto case, the Mountain View, the creeping Tom, the Mare Island, all of that stuff, he was not charged for. He technically got away clean from.
And that woman, detective or police officer, seeing her crying at the end, like, I am so, like, she was just so happy to know that, like, because of her, this woman is believed and she can heal now from it.
Exactly. The craziest part, none of these officers were disciplined.
Not one.
And Detective Mustard was awarded Detective of the Year in 2015. The same year this happened. The same year where he basically didn't believe someone that had a kidnapping.
Congratulations, Detective Mustard. You really had great detective work this year.
Not the woman detective.
That
solved this.
No. The detective that basically sat on his butt and did nothing.
Was headstrong on his idea, and he was wrong.
And victim blamed the whole time.
The entire time.
But the good note is they did win $2.5 million in a lawsuit against the
huge lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yes. And so
good for them.
Yes. It's just so crazy.
And we do final thoughts on this case. Like,
I mean, it's everything we said. I mean, it's just, as a police officer and detectives, you just cannot have tunnel vision like that.
Yes.
You cannot be closed-minded.
You cannot be closed-minded, and you can't have such a big ego.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You have to be able to say, I'm wrong, let's follow this guy.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of cops, and this isn't like our way of trying to say bad things about cops doing true crime, because I know there's good cops, I know there's good detectives out there.
The detective that says
I have nothing but say good things about her. But, you know, when you hear cases like this, it's like too many times you see these cops be like, they have such a big ego and closed-minded and be like, nope, it's her, and you can't change my mind about it.
And it's like they won't allow themselves to follow any other direction because their ego is too big in the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just sad. Like,
She was
the way-
re-victimized when she got home from the cops and from the public for no
Yes.
Yeah,
reason.
for no reason.
for absolutely no
Mhm.
reason.
Yeah, you think you're going home to healing.
And finally getting help and finally catching this guy, and they're against you?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Instead, you're made out all over the world as a liar.
Yeah, and it wasn't even the cops that you went to for help that solved it. It was a detective that was on another case that just felt like the goodness in her heart she had to figure out
this
what
out.
happened. Whose blonde hair is this on the goggles?
Mhm.
Which right there tells you that he was kind of in a way like keeping trophies because
Yeah.
What a
it's
creep.
just a peculiar case all the way around.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and he was going to escalate.
Yes,
I
I
mean,
think that's
he started as a peeping tom.
yeah.
To becoming a serial rapist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? This was going to escalate.
He was going to keep doing this until he got away with it, and it definitely would have been worse for the next person.
Yeah.
Sad.
It is very sad.
Are they still together doing that?
Yes,
They're
they're
married
married.
with
Oh.
2 kids. Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
They are married with babies.
Hopefully they found a new job away from Andrea.
which that is the thing that they never touch on again.
And
How
why
is
her?
Andrea like
And
Matthew?
why was she targeted?
Yes, Matthew never admits why she was the target, why her name was brought up.
I'm
Like,
convinced that he finds
Maybe
men with
obviously,
money
yeah.
or found that couple and then hyperfixated on them for months without even realizing that they had broken up and he had a new girlfriend.
I
And
guess
then
that
he
makes sense.
planned his attack
Mhm.
and went in expecting her.
I mean,
Yeah.
that makes
He must have
sense.
just came across them at
Because
some
it's something
point.
that, like, it's like we said, like he's investigating but not investigating.
Yeah.
So what is the motive here? Is it money
I think
or is it sadistic?
I think he's obviously a serial rapist, so I think rape plays a huge part
Mhm.
of it.
But
But-
also, hey, can I get some money out of this?
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's the first time that he asked for money. All the
Mhm.
other cases that they
He
link,
don't.
he doesn't ask for money. He honestly doesn't rape any of those women. The first woman, she ends up crying, saying that she was raped before, and he ends up leaving. The second woman, she ends up begging, and he doesn't rape her and tells her to get a dog. And then the third one is the peeping Tom case.
Yeah.
She is the first person that he brings himself to do it.
And that's what makes me feel like, is it more money based? Like, is it more of like, I can do this and I'm going to show, like, I can plan out these mastermind scenarios and I'm going to get money from it. And then he ended up raping her in the process.
I don't know.
I
He
don't
But
has,
being a peeping Tom is creep vibes. So
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
something is wrong with him sexually, mentally, you know.
yes.
Absolutely.
Just the way that he does all of it is very odd. Obviously he treats it as a date. He's
Mhm.
giving her way too much information.
He's got to
bas-
have mommy issues or something.
He's got yeah.
Something.
Something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have some daddy issues, and they don't make me do that.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
So that be concluding
Yep.
our first true crime
That's
segment.
our first true crime
Okay.
segment, and either Jess or I will pick the next one for next week.
Yep. Leave comments below what you thought about the case,
tell us
what
some
cases you want to
cases you like
see.
Absolutely.
So we all three are really into true crime. So
Yep.
let us know what you are interested in hearing about.
Yep.
Welcome to our Taylor Swift segment. We really want to break down more in detail lyrics in future episodes of our podcast. But for now, I guess we're just going to talk about what we've been feeling with everything going on in the Taylor Swift
yeah,
universe.
there's just so much Swiftiness.
So she did just drop a new album, The
Yes.
Tortured Poets Department, which
changed my brain chemistry.
changed my brain chemistry too. I think it quickly, like the first listen, I was
Yeah.
like, this is my new favorite album.
I
Yeah.
knew it.
I knew
haven't
it.
listened to anything else really.
I know. I forget how much I love other Taylor Swift songs when I hear them. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah.
So.
So I would definitely say first listen, I was Who's Afraid of Little Me? That's my song. I still stand by that. It just spoke to me on a different level. I even joke with Chelsea of I'm gonna get the whole song tattooed on me. It just
It's a great song.
It's a good
It is
song.
female rage in a song.
yes, it speaks to me, especially that you wouldn't last an hour in the asylum where they raised me.
Mhm.
I need that tattooed on my Taylor Swift sleeve.
I love seeing those on TikTok of the dance moms will do it. Of their
Yeah.
videos.
Oh,
I
yes.
love
All the
seeing
trend with
many
that
of them.
one.
Yes. But I love that song. There's so many.
First listen, what was your number one song?
So first listen, which is so funny. I don't know why, and I don't even know how to explain, but it was Fortnite. It was.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it was the I love you, but it's ruining my life.
I was waiting for that lyric somewhere in the album,
Yeah.
and it was great.
It was just so good, and the Chelsea Hotel. I just hearing Taylor Swift say Chelsea. That would be my biggest flex for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I think my favorite song, and I knew it before even going in, was So Long London. The way that she puts those lyrics, like she put those words together, is literal poetry.
Yeah.
And that song relates to my personal life more than I've ever heard a song relate to my situation before. It's so good.
Yeah. Yes. So I started out like, I'm not quite like Ashley. Like what I started out was Fortnite was my all-time favorite, but it's definitely not anymore. I don't know though. Like I've been saying that for so long. Like So Long London. Oh, that was one I reached for. Loss of My Life is
so good.
Peter.
So good.
Peter. The Black Dog. I love the Black Dog.
Prophecy.
I was gonna say The Prophecy. I love Cassandra. The Prophecy. The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived.
That bridge.
The bridge.
Holy, that
so
and now
good.
her on the tour with that song too.
It's so good.
I love it.
Dies right there in the middle of the stage.
You can see the emotion when she performs it.
And I thought it was very interesting because I was watching back, like, because obviously she gets shot in the tour, like when she's doing it. And so the first shot is slide into inboxes, and the second shot is normal girls were boring, and she gets shot on the boring part. I'm like, oh, it's just such good lyrics.
Yeah, and something I can't wait to do on here is, so as a Swiftie, and I have been a Swiftie since day one, okay? I have been a Swiftie from day one to now. Same. But something I didn't realize was quite the parallels between Taylor Swift and Matty Healy on his 1975, with his 1975 band. And so I can't wait to go through those parallels and those lyrics and stuff with you guys, because
I'm realizing more and more as I'm watching TikToks.
My brain is like booming with it because I had no idea.
Yeah, so I've like kind of touched with Chelsea a little bit. Like I'm not going to sit here and claim to be like the biggest 1975 fan. I am not. I would say I'm the type of fan that listens to the whole album, picks a couple songs I like, and I'll listen to those couple songs. So I knew in 2014 there was like questions of them dating, and there was questions of like maybe their songs. But even me, I'm like, whoa! I did not realize they were just writing back to forth with each other in these songs.
The love that they had for each other over the year. Now, with us saying this, we're Travis Kelce fans.
We are so happy for her. We are so happy is who she needs.
But this was just, we knew about her and Travis.
Yes.
We knew about her and Joe Alwyn. When this album came out, we're like, wait a minute, this album's not
he
all
meant
about
this much?
Joe. We have more Matty Healy songs than Joe songs. Yeah. So we're excited to talk about those things because that's all new information for us.
Yes.
You know what other song I love so much? Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus.
How did it
love
end?
That. How did it end? Bridge is poetry.
I literally was telling Zach last night I want to get like a tree with like two ghosts for the like my ghost and me sitting in a tree, cute. DIY. This arm is going to end up just being a Torture Poets like arm because I want a tattoo from so many of them.
Torture Poets and folklore.
Yep, folklore, technically folklore. Yeah. It's about to turn into Torture Poets.
Yeah. So now that she's added this new album to the Eras tour, how are we feeling?
It's been complete chaos. All of her outfits are changed. None of the colors make sense. I'm confused.
I do love the Torture Poets apartment set. I really do.
I am happy with the set. The only thing that don't understand, which me and Chelsea's talked about, is, but Daddy, I love him. That one wasn't her top on the billboards. There was so many more songs I would have loved to hear.
That song got more hated on than any other, and maybe that's why she's doing it. Yeah. Because there's that religious part in it people are hating on. The kidding about being pregnant, people are hating on. So I'm just really surprised, and it's just not. I don't feel like it's a fan favorite.
No.
I said I feel like it's a poppy song compared to the rest of the album, that she wanted to keep that upbeatness, but I would have loved to hear some of her more slower songs. Peter should have been on the set list.
Yeah. I'm a creature of habit, so I don't like change. I knew I was excited for there to be adding on to Torture Poets, but there's certain songs being taken that it's just I'm having a hard time with. I don't like that are taken, and then the But Daddy I Love Him, that just doesn't make sense in my brain.
I would have been more okay with giving up Tolerate It or The One if she would have put in some of those ones
something that matched
me.
that.
Yes, something.
Give me Lost of My Life.
Peter.
Give me
LOML,
Peter. Yes. Give me
The Prophecy.
Yeah, give me something like that.
So Long London.
If you're going to take a song that just stabs me in my heart and I love it because I love it so much, I need something to be there for that. And instead you gave me
But Daddy I Love Him.
Yeah, one of my least favorite songs on that that thing. But I every other song on there, I get it. I get why
she had to do You Can Do It With a Broken Heart. Because it fits the Eras Tour.
It fits the Eras Tour.
She had to do Down Bad because it's a hit.
It's a hit. Yes. Fortnite's her biggest hit.
Yes.
Yeah. And what were we just saying? Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? That is a fan favorite. There are so many TikTok trends with that.
Yes.
So
High School, we knew Travis.
And I love that. I love it.
And she makes it like 20 seconds.
I love that she actually put a little part of that in. I'm glad she didn't do the whole song.
If you actually look at like that dance that she does it's a bunch of like different choreography from the game. So there's like all of his touchdown dances and like the crowd
surfing. And I love when her dancer like pushes her and she kind of like leans over. It's so cute.
Oh, and then The Smallest Man That Ever Lived.
Yes, so
that is one of the best bridges of all time. You know, Swifties are debating if this is better than the All Too Well bridge. You know what I mean? And that's a huge statement.
Yeah. I think if she took out But Daddy I Love Him and put in So Long London, The Prophecy, one of those like hard hitting ones, even How Did It End or Peter, I could tolerate losing Tolerate It.
Yes. Exactly. Because that's what I did. When I saw Tolerate was gone, I teared up. Ashley was sitting here right with me and she's like, let's see what Torture Poets are. And when Torture Poets ended, I felt more disappointment almost.
Like you were missing something.
I'm missing something. I'm missing my soul being crushed and ran over and I need to put it back together again.
And see, it was a weird like atmosphere because she was very like disappointed, I guess is the best way of putting it. And I was like, I got Who's Afraid of Little Me, I got The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. Like I got so many songs that like are on my top of my list that it's like, no, it is only But Daddy I Love Him. That's the only one that bothers me. I'm like, okay, we could have done a little bit better, but okay.
I loved the levitating that she does, and I keep talking about that and Who's Afraid of Little Me, the way she's just going to moving so fast, and
I love her outfits.
Yes,
her Torture Poet outfits, and her getting picked up off the stage.
I was about to say that, and it's like it's so fitting for that song how she's like a puppet,
she's dead,
and they are putting her, and they're putting all these clothes on her and telling her to perform, and then she goes out there, and I saw a TikTok that said, did you notice the first move that she does when she turns around is the first move of the of the entire Eras Tour?
If you go through all of them, she's got You Belong With Me choreography, she's got Blank Space it's all choreography from all the eras.
Did you like the white better than the black? I think I do.
I don't know. The black was, I feel like the black popped more on her, but I don't know.
What were the surprise ones today?
We haven't looked.
Should we do a live reaction?
Let's do a live reaction.
Like, this is the first time we haven't watched it because we were just so busy today with stuff that we didn't get to sit and watch it. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I'll get to go back and watch it. I'm sure someone recorded it.
Maroon.
Of course.
Was the piano song.
Yep. Hey, Steven!
Hey, Steven!
Oh, hey,
she didn't do a Torture Poet?
She did not on the third night.
Why?
I thought she would stick with them at least one for a while.
I thought she would do one for a while till she got through her songs. So
hey,
I'm
Steven.
surprised.
I love
and
that
she
song.
did it in
Hey, Steven, that's a great one. I like Maroon and I like Hey, Steven. I would have been really happy at that concert.
Yes. She did it in an orange surprise dress, so we're getting a lot of orange.
Orange.
Does she have an orange
Karma?
album? I was going to say, 12th album?
Karma!
I've been going through all the colors that she doesn't have yet. Like, she has black, she has white, she has brown,
Greige.
she has greige, she has blue, pink, green, yellow. So, we need some orange.
I think, actually, you know what? Pause this thought. is Taylor really going to make an album called Karma? And she can't have the song Karma on that. She already has a song
I
called
don't
Karma.
know. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think the next one's going to be a love
don't know.
album. It's going to be a lover sister.
No, it's going to be maybe. I'm thinking 1989 Sister.
Yeah.
Which is like not sad to me because that's my least favorite album, but I like to see, I mean, who knows? I think we're gonna get more of So High School, The Alchemy, songs like that. I think we're gonna get more, I don't know. So we'll see what she does with it. Yeah. I would love to see a slow soul song about
So
Travis.
one of the things that a lot of people, I just remember this, have been saying about the Orange is one of Debut's albums was Orange.
Oh.
And-
Right, so from here on out,
We'll
we
be
definitely want to
breaking-
like break down a different song on each one, or
Yeah.
maybe a couple
Yeah,
songs.
I think because I want to
Deep dive.
I want to do every single song, everything she's ever done. Like, I just want to do.
Yeah, we'll start
I love
Torture
her.
Poets Apartment, and we will really go through songs,
Yeah.
previous songs too.
One of the things I know, like, me and Chelsea really want to deep dive in is, like, the colors that she uses. She's a very, like, this person was blue and void of colors and just all kinds of different,
many
like,
things.
yes.
She talks about dancing a lot.
One of the big things I want to talk about with the Torture Poets is the talk of death. Almost every song has something that relates to death, which is very interesting.
I feel like about us three, we just have a lot of ideas that we're not seeing being talked about.
Yes.
And I would love to be able to just
talk about
it. Yeah. And
it's just we get into all these discussions and we're like, we should film this. We
Yes.
should put this out there for other people to
Yeah.
watch with us.
So I'm excited. I know this like first segment, you guys don't get to see that as much, but I feel like you're really going to soon.
Yes.
Every Wednesday. So every Wednesday this will be posted and we will talk about the national holiday that's that day.
Yeah.
And today we have lots.
Yeah.
But I'm going to start with today is Tourette's Day, National Awareness on Tourette's Day, which is just I like to talk about because I have a bonus son. He is special needs. He's got multiple diagnoses, but one of his diagnoses is a tic disorder / Tourette's disorder. So he does have those, and I just like to bring awareness because it's just things that I guess I didn't even realize before he was diagnosed with this, like what they all entail.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You see on TV and stuff people with Tourette's, and you just kind of think it's twitching,
screaming cuss words.
yeah, screaming, twitching,
There's so
things
many
like
different
that.
levels,
And that's just not the case for my child. And also, it also stems from anxiety. You know what I mean? When his anxiety is going, his tics and Tourette's are so much worse.
Yes.
And I don't know. I just like the awareness, and
yes,
let's bring awareness to that.
Mine is a little bit more silly, but today is National Chocolate Chip Day. So
enjoy a chocolate chip.
Enjoy a chocolate chip somehow today. Chocolate chip cookie, brownies.
Another one is National Give Someone Flowers Day. So you get someone some flowers, gift them today. Another really cool one that we also thought was Break the Glass Ceiling Day.
Yes.
Like girl power.
Girl power.
And it made me think about this, like kind of rewinding to our true crime case, because I was thinking about it during that. Like the male detective received an award, but she didn't.
But she didn't when she solved that case.
Even though
that is
solved
the glass ceiling right
yes.
there.
So like he is still being awarded, and she did the work, and you know what I mean. So we want to break this glass ceiling. We are girls. We are girls here. So. But those are our national holidays that we thought were really cool.
We're gonna try to do this
Celebrate
every week and tell you what. And this will be the national holidays for the day that this goes live on Wednesday. So when you're watching this,
that's
give
your
someone
holiday.
some flowers, break a glass ceiling,
eat some cookie dough,
eat some cookies, and support
Tourette's.
Support Tourette's. Support Tourette's.
Give someone with Tourette's a hug. I don't know.
Or don't. If you get my son a hug, just don't. Or don't. He doesn't have good
Give him a high five.
Yes, he'll usually do a high five or a fist bump, but he's a
Mhm.
sensory kid. He does not want hugs.
Yes.
Yep.
But
all right, so I think we will. Is this it? Are we concluding?
It.
We'll conclude our first podcast episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.